You know the feeling. You spend an hour on the gym floor, sweating through endless crunches, hoping to carve out a visible set of abs, but the mirror never seems to change. That frustration comes from relying on a concept called spot reduction, the idea that you can burn fat in a specific area by working the muscles directly underneath it. This cross-section shows exactly why that fails. When you do a sit-up, the abdominal muscle contracts, but it does not draw energy from the static layer of fat sitting right on top of it. The two systems are separate. Doing thousands of localized abdominal movements will certainly build core strength, but on their own, they are mathematically incapable of leaning out your midsection. Treating your belly as an isolated target to be hammered into submission is a biological dead end. The human body simply does not store and release energy that way. To understand what is actually happening, we must look at what we casually call belly fat. It is actually two completely distinct layers of tissue. First is subcutaneous fat. As highlighted, it sits beneath the skin, the visible layer you can physically pinch. Deeper inside is visceral fat, packed tightly around vital organs. During exercise, your body burns this dangerous visceral fat first, leaving the subcutaneous layer entirely untouched. This means your internal health is rapidly improving. You are clearing out organ-strangling fat and drastically lowering metabolic risk factors, even if the scale hasn't moved a single pound. Of course, your brain doesn't see your liver. It only sees the mirror, and fighting through that total lack of visual feedback is mentally exhausting. Pushing the body to clear out that internal fat requires continuous systemic physical exertion. You have to keep the overall engine running hot. A plateau in your physical appearance isn't a failure. It is often the quiet, necessary phase where your body systematically clears out the dangerous fat. Since we cannot command the body to target that outer layer, our only option is to create a systemic, body-wide energy drain. The absolute requirement for this is a consistent caloric deficit. You must consume less energy than your body requires to operate. Exercise accelerates this in two ways. Cardio spikes your daily calorie burn, while lifting weights preserves existing muscle. This flowchart maps out the relationship between that muscle mass and energy use. Higher muscle mass requires more metabolic upkeep, which directly increases your baseline daily energy output. Sending that preservation signal requires intense physical effort. Heavy resistance training forces your nervous system to prioritize keeping the muscle you already have. To repair that heavily taxed metabolic hardware, your diet must include an adequate, consistent supply of protein. But diet and exercise have a hidden governor. This cycle illustrates what happens when you are sleep-deprived. Specific stress hormones spike, signaling your body to halt fat loss and actively store new energy reserves straight in the abdomen. Shrinking your midsection is a multivariable equation. You need a nutritional deficit, muscular maintenance for the furnace, and optimized sleep for hormones. Which brings us right back to that original, frustrating layer of subcutaneous fat sitting over the abs. Because the body prioritizes clearing out the dangerous internal fat first, this superficial outer padding is historically, stubbornly, the very last reserve to go. Pushing through to that final stage requires psychological endurance. You have to commit to a routine long after the initial motivation wears off. Maintain the caloric deficit. Keep lifting heavy. Prioritize your recovery sleep. And most importantly, do not quit when progress seems invisible. A lean, visible midsection is simply the inevitable, delayed byproduct of respecting your body's biological hierarchy and executing the plan all the way to the end.